Good afternoon, radio fans. Big Al here on this Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. And we're continuing our series of the AM and FM radio stations from across the country with the first of 3 videos in the Chicago FM stations reissue. As today we'll be taking a look at the very extensive non-commercial band on FM. And it was a pretty extensive list, as I mentioned. You have multiple stations on one frequency. So this is why I decided to break this video up into 3 parts. Part 2 will look at the low end of the FM commercial band from 92 to 100. And then in part 3, we'll look at the high end of the commercial band from 100 to 108. But today we'll be taking a look at the very extensive non-commercial band on FM. So with that, let's jump right into it with 88.1 channel 201, where you have not 1, not 2, but 8 stations on this one frequency. The first station we'll look at is WBMF Crete, Illinois, known as the Sun Life Radio Network, with a Christian radio format affiliated with the Sun Life Radio Network. WBMF signed on the air in 2002. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at just 90 watts effective radiated power. Their studios are located at the Family Worship Center Church, which is where Jimmy Swaggart Ministries is based out of, at 8919 World Ministries Avenue in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Their mailing address is Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, P.O. Box 262550, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70826. WBMF's transmitter is at 1300 West New Monee Road in Crete, Illinois. WBMF is owned by Family Worship Center Church Incorporated, and programming is also heard in the Chicagoland area on WAWF 88.3 FM Kankakee, which is a Class A station broadcasting at 1250 watts, and WWGN 88.9 FM Ottawa, LaSalle, Illinois, which is a Class B1 station broadcasting at 4100 watts vertical and 1400 watts horizontal. The second station on 88.1 broadcasts in high definition, and that's WCRX Chicago. 88.1 FM WCRX. They play dance, top 40 CHR, and hip hop on this station, and they are affiliated with the Pacifica Radio Network. This station first signed on as WVIL FM in 1975. June 1975 to be exact. And as WCRX, their official sign-on was November 22nd, 1982. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 100 watts horizontal, 90 watts vertical. Their studios are located on the campus of Columbia College at 33 East Ida B. Wells Drive in Chicago. Their transmitter is also on the Columbia College campus at the East Tower of the Student Center on the 600 block of South Halstead Street, also in Chicago. WCRX is owned by Columbia College Chicago. Next up is WLRA Lockport. They're known as The Start. They feature a variety format affiliated with CNN News Source. This station signed on the air on March 4th, 1973, and previously identified as WFJL-FM WLCL, and WERA. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 140 watts. Their studios and transmitter are located at the Lewis University Bookstore at 1 University Parkway in Romeoville, Illinois. And this station is owned by Lewis University and licensed to the College of Humanitarian Fine Arts and Communications. Can't even read my own handwriting. That's bad. All right, the fourth station on 88.1 is WLTL LaGrange. Branded simply as 88.1 FM LaGrange with a variety rock format affiliated with the Pacifica Radio Network. They signed on the air in 1968. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 180 watts directional. Their studios are located at 100 South Brainerd Avenue in LaGrange. Their transmitter is also located in LaGrange at the Vaughn Gym, 1045 West Cosset Avenue. The station is owned by Lyons Township High School. The fifth of the 8 stations on 88.1 is WLWX Wheaton, Illinois, K-Love 90s, featuring 90s Christian hits. This station signed on as an AM carrier current station in 1947, and on FM they signed on in 1962 as WETN. They would become WAIW in 2017 and later WLWX in 2021. They have a Class A license with the Federal Communications Commission, broadcasting at 250 watts. Their studios are located at the K-Love headquarters in Rockland, California. The station's transmitter is at the Memorial Student Center of Wheaton College at 510 East Franklin Street in Wheaton. WLWX is owned by Educational Media Foundation, or EMF. All right, to the sixth station on 88.1, that's WNTH Winnetka. Their brand and format is unknown. They signed on the air in 2021. So this is pretty much a news station. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at just 47 watts. Their studios and transmitter are located at the New Trier High School at 385 Winnetka Avenue in Winnetka. The station is owned by Board of Education, New Trier Township, District 203. All right. The seventh station is WTZI Rosemont, Illinois. Their brand and format is also unknown. Their first sign-on was as WFRT on December 26, 2001. In fact, I got the brand and format here. They're known as Hindi 88, and they broadcast Hindi programming. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 300 watts. Studio location is unknown. Their transmitter is at 9638 Irving Park Road in Schiller Park, Illinois. The owner of the station is also unknown, but the station was sold by Calvary Radio Network Incorporated in 2022. The final station on 88.1 is WWTG Carpentersville, Illinois, Live Talk Radio, featuring Christian talk and Christian music. This station signed on the air on January 10th, 2012. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 2,000 watts. Programming originates from the studios of Life Talk Radio in Riverside, California. The transmitter is off of Mill Street in Gilberts, Illinois. WWTG is owned by Adventist Media Center, part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. 88.3 Channel 202 has 5 stations on this frequency. The first is WDGC-FM Downers Grove. No brand for this station, featuring a high school radio format. WDGC-FM signed on the air on February 28, 1969. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 250 watts ERP horizontal. Their studios are located at Downers Grove North High School at 4436 Main Street in Downers Grove. The station's transmitter is in the 4500 block of Forest Avenue, also in Downers Grove. WDGC-FM is owned by Downers Grove Community High School District 99. The second station on 88.3 is WDSO, Chesterton, Indiana. 88.3 FM, The Rock. This is a high school radio station signing on the air in August of 1976 on 89.7 FM. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 400 watts. Their studios are located at Chesterton High School at 2125 South 11th Street in Chesterton. The station's transmitter is at 1372 North Tremont Road in Porter, Indiana. WDSO is owned and licensed by the Duneland School Corporation and operated by Chesterton High School. The third station on 88.3 is WHCM, Palatine, Illinois. Harper Radio. This is a college station signing on the air in 2002. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 100 watts. Studios are located at Harper College at 1200 West Algonquin Road in Palatine, Illinois, which is also where the station's transmitter is located. WHCM is owned by William Rainey Harper College. The fourth station on 88.3 is WXAV Chicago, the X 88.3, featuring an adult album alternative or AAA format. Signing on the air in 1977, they have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 150 watts. The station's studios and transmitter are located on the campus of St. Xavier University at 3700 West 103rd Street in Chicago. WXAV is owned, of course, by St. Xavier University. The final station on 88.3 is WZRD Chicago, known as The Wizard. This is a free-form station affiliated with Pacifica Radio. Signing on the air in 1974, WZRD has a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 100 watts. The studios and transmitter for WZRD are located on the campus of Northeastern Illinois University at 5500 North St. Louis Avenue in Chicago, which is right next door to WTTV Channel 11 and WFMT 98.7, which is in that same area. The transmitter is technically located at the Office of International Programs at not the same address, 5500 North St. Louis Avenue in Chicago, and the station is owned by Northeast University. 88.5 Channel 203 has 6 stations on this frequency. The first is WGBK, Glenview, Illinois. No brand for this station. They They feature indie/college music, news, and sports. The first sign-on officially of WGBK was February 14th, 1997, although the station does date back to 1981 as WMWA. Which was owned by the Midwestern Academy. WGBK has a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 185 watts. Their studios are located at Glenbrook South High School at 4000 West Lake Avenue in Glenview. Their transmitter is at the Shealy Center for the Performing Arts at Glenbrook North High School at 2300 Shermer Road in Northbrook. WGBK is owned by Glenbrook High School District. The second station is WHFH Flossmoor. No brand for this station. They have a high school radio format. This station signed on the air on December 21st, 1964. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 15 watts. Their studio and transmitter are both located on the campus of Homewood Flossmoor High School at 999 Kedzie Avenue in Flossmoor, Illinois. WHFH is owned by Homewood Flossmoor High School. The third station is WHPK Chicago. No brand for this station. They feature a college and community radio format, signing on the air on March 22nd, 1968 as WHPK FM on 88.3. The station moved to 88.5 in 1985 and dropped the FM suffix from its call sign in 2016. WHPK is a Class A non-commercial educational station broadcasting at 100 watts. Their studios are located at the Reynolds Club on the campus of the University of Chicago at 5706 South University Avenue. Their transmitter is at the Renee Granville Grossman Residential Commons, also on the UIC campus at 6031 South Ellis Avenue in Chicago. WHPK is owned by the University of Chicago. The fourth station is WHSD Hinsdale, no brand. They're a high school station, unknown first sign-on. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 125 watts horizontal and 80 watts vertical. The studios and transmitter is at the intersection of 55th and Grant Streets in Hinsdale. Now I got this address off of radiolocator.com. In turn, got it from the FCC database, so this address may be outdated. WHSD is owned by Hinsdale Township High School District number 86. The fifth station is WSFI, Antioch, Illinois. WSFI Catholic Radio 88.5 FM. That being said, this is a Catholic radio format. They have a Class B1 license with the FCC, broadcasting at 6100 watts. Studio location is unknown. Their mailing address is P.O. Box 885, Libertyville, Illinois 60048. Their transmitter is located off of Illinois State Route 173 in Fox Lake. WSFI is owned by BVM Helping Hands. The last station on 88.5 is WTMK, Wantagh, Illinois, known as Shine FM, playing contemporary Christian music, and affiliated with the Regional Radio Sports Network. WTMK signed on the air in 2005. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 3,400 watts. Their studios are located on the campus of Olivet Nazarene University at 1 University Avenue in Barbanos, Illinois. Their transmitter is at 1603 South Main Street in Couts, Indiana. WTMK is owned by Olivet Nazarene University. .7 Channel 204 has 5 stations. The first we'll look at is WCSF Joliet, known as 88.7 WCS with an indie rock format. This station signed on the air in 1988. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 100 watts. Studio location is also taken from radiolocator.com, and they listed it as 500 North Wilcox Street in Joliet. Again, radiolocator.com got this address from the FCC database, so it may be outdated. Their transmitter is located at the same location, 500 West Wilcox Street in Joliet. WCSF is owned by the University of St. Francis and licensed by the College of St. Francis. The second station on 88.7 is WGVE-FM Gary, Indiana. No brand for this station, featuring a public radio format with a limited affiliation with NPR. WGVE-FM signed on the air in 1963, or in January of 1954, at 88.1. The station would move to 88.7 in 1963. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 2,100 watts. Studios are located at Gary Community Schools on 9th and Geary Streets in Gary. Their transmitter is also in Gary at 1511 North 35th Court. WGVE-FM is owned by the Gary Community School Corporation. The third station on 88.7 is WLUW Chicago, known as the Chicago Sound Alliance. Their format is community radio and indie music. The station signed on circa 1970s. They have a Class A license, FCC, broadcasting at 100 watts. Their studio is located on the campus of Loyola University at 26 East Pearson Street in Chicago. The station's transmitter is also in Chicago at 6525 North Sheridan Road. WLUW is owned by Loyola University, Chicago. The fourth station on 88.7 is WRSE Elmhurst, known as WRSE-FM Elmhurst. They feature a rock format, affiliated with the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System. The station signed on the air as WRSE-FM in 1962, but then dropped the FM suffix from the call letters in 2001. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 320 watts and 234 watts transmitter power output. Their studios and transmitter is located on the campus of Elmhurst University at 190 South Prospect Avenue in Elmhurst. The station is owned by Elmhurst University and licensed to Elmhurst University Board of Trustees. The final station on 88.7 is WSRI Sugar Grove, Illinois. Air One, featuring contemporary worship radio. The first sign-on was actually the day the station got its license granted by the Federal Communications Commission, and that was June 17th, 2008. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 600 watts. Programming originates from K-Love's headquarters in Rockland, California. Their transmitter is off of Galena Road in Yorkville, Illinois. WSRI is owned by the Educational Media Foundation, or EMF. All right, this brings us to 88.9, channel 205, where there are 3 stations on this frequency. The first is WEPS, Elgin, Illinois. No brand for this station. This is a high school public radio station affiliated with Wisconsin Public Radio, NPR, and the BBC World Service. WEPS signed on the air on January 13, 1950. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 740 watts. Their studios are located at 355 East Chicago Street in Elgin. Their transmitter is at the Dream Academy at 46 South Gifford Street, also in Elgin. WEPS is owned by Elgin Area School District U46 and licensed to the Board of Education, Elgin Area School District U46. The next station up is WGEN FM, Moni, Illinois, and there is no brand for this station. This WGEN FM features eclectic music and talk programming, affiliated with Pacifica Radio. WGEN FM signed on the air on November 1st, 1995. The station would undergo 3 call sign changes with 3 sets of call letters until they became WGEN FM in 2013. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 100 watts. Studio location is unlisted. Their mailing address is P.O. Box 122, Crete, Illinois 60417. The station's transmitter is off of South Ridgeland Avenue in Moni, Illinois. WGEN FM is owned by Wild World Media Incorporated. The final station on 88.9 is WMXM, Lake Forest. Lake Forest College Radio, featuring a college radio format play primarily indie rock, hip hop, RPM, and loud rock. The station's first sign-on was also the first day their license was granted by the Federal Communications Commission, which was March 31st, 2010. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 295 watts. I got the studio location off of Radio Locator, and it may be outdated according to the FCC database, but according to them, their studios are located at 555 North Sheridan Road in Lake Forest. Their transmitter is at Brown Hall at Lake Forest College on Campus Circle in Lake Forest. WMXM is owned by Lake Forest College. 89.1 Channel 206 also has 3 stations. The first is WOKL Round Lake Beach. This is part of the K-Love radio network, featuring contemporary Christian music. The station's first sign on is also the day their license was granted, and that was January 17th, 2014. They would undergo 4 call sign changes with 4 sets of call letters before becoming WOKL in 2012. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 550 watts. Programming originates from K-Love's headquarters in Rocklin, California. Their transmitter is located at 19579 West Grand Avenue in Lake Village. WOKL is owned by the Educational Media Foundation, or EMF. The station is WONC Naperville, Pure Rock FM 89. This is a non-commercial, album-oriented rock station, signing on the air in 1968. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,500 watts. Their studios are at 232 East Chicago Avenue. The transmitter is at 1805 High Grove Lane in Naperville. WONC is owned by North Central College. The final station on 89.1 is WLPR FM Lowell, Indiana, also known as Lakeshore Public Radio. This is a public radio news and talk station affiliated with NPR, American Public Media, Public Radio Exchange, and the BBC World Service, as well as the Indiana Public Broadcasting stations. WLPR FM signed on as WWLO in 2006 and became WLPR FM in 2009. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,100 watts. Their studios are located at 8625 Maryville Place in Maryville, Indiana. Their transmitter is off of Grant Street or Indiana State Route 55 and West 163rd Avenue in Lowell, Indiana. WLPR FM is owned by Northwest Indiana Public Broadcasting Incorporated, which also owns Gary licensed PBS member station WYIN Channel 56. And I got this information off of Radio Locator, the following information. WLPR FM may also be operating with a Class A construction permit to increase its ERP to 4,900 watts from a new transmitter site at 16290 Grant Street in Crown Point, Indiana. WLPR's construction permit is set to expire on November 12th, 2024. 89.3 Channel 207 has 3 stations. The first is WKKC Chicago, broadcasting in high definition. They're known as 89.3 WKKC FM, featuring an urban contemporary format, signing on the air in 1975. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 280 watts horizontal, 210 watts vertical. Their studios are located on the campus of Kennedy King College at 6301 South Halsted Street in Chicago. The station is at 740 West 63rd Street in Chicago. WKKC is owned by the City Colleges of Chicago. Their second station is WNUR Evanston. Brand is unknown. They feature a variety format playing primarily jazz, classical music, and rock. The station's first sign-on is when they had their license granted by the FCC, April 14th, 1977. They have a Class B1 license with the FCC, broadcasting at 7,200 watts. The studios and transmitter are both located on the campus of Northwestern University. The studios are located at the Northwestern University School of Communication at 70 Arts Circle Drive in Evanston. The transmitter is near the intersection of Sheridan Road and Foster Street in Evanston. WNUR is owned by Northwestern University. The final station on 89.3 is WPJC, Pontiac, Illinois. Catholic Spirit Radio, featuring a Catholic talk format, affiliated with the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. WPJC signed on the air in 2003. They have a Class B1 license with the FCC, broadcasting at 20,000 watts. Studios are located at 108 Boykins Place in Normal, Illinois. Their transmitter is off of Inner Lake Drive in Pontiac, Illinois. WPJC is owned by 2820 Communications Incorporated, and their programming is relayed on translator station W206CE 89.1 FM, DeKalb, Illinois. Speaking of which, 89.5 channel 208 is WNIJ, DeKalb, Illinois. Northern Public Radio, featuring news and talk and adult album alternative rock. WNIJ signed on the air in October 1954 as WNIC. The station would move to 89.7 in 1965 and became WNIU in 1968. The station would then move again to 89.5 in 1968 and become WNIJ in 1997. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 50,000 watts. Studios gathered from the FCC database, so it may be outdated. They are located at 801 North 1st Street, DeKalb, Illinois. The transmitter is off of South Mulford Road in Esmond, Illinois. WNIJ is owned by Northern Illinois University. Okay, WBEW, we'll be talking about them once we get the WBEZ, so stay tuned for that. 90.1 channel 211 is WMBI FM Chicago, broadcasting in high definition. They're known as 90.1 FM WMBI. On 90.1 FM analog and 90.1-1 is Christian radio. 90.1-2 is Majesty Radio, which I think is Christian music. And 90.1-3 is Moody Radio Espanol. WEIFM signed on the air on July 25th, 1960. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 100,000 watts. Their studios are located at the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago at 820 North LaSalle Boulevard. Their transmitter is located in Addison, Illinois, at the end of Westmoreland Avenue. WMBI-FM is owned by the Moody Bible Institute and licensed to the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago, and this is the flagship station of Moody Radio. 90.5 Channel 213 has two stations. The first is WNIU Rockford, broadcasting in high definition. They're also known as Northern Public Radio. They feature a classical music format affiliated with American Public Media, primarily Classical 24. WNIU signed on the air as WNIJ on April 21st, 1991, and became WNIU in 1997. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 50,000 watts. Studios are located at 801 North 1st Street in DeKalb, Illinois. Again, this is taken from radiolocator.com, who in turn got the address from the FCC database, so it may be outdated. Their transmitter is off of South Mulford Road in Esmond, Illinois. WNIU is owned by Northern Illinois University. The other station on 91 or 90.5 is WRTW Crown Point. They're known as The Key, featuring a Christian radio format. WRTW signed on the air in May of 2010. They have a Class B1 license with the FCC, broadcasting at 3,100 watts. Their studios are located at the Hiles Anderson College at 507 State Street in Hammond, Indiana. Their transmitter is located off of Clark Street in Center Township. WRTW is owned by Hiles Anderson College. 90.7 Channel 214 and 90.9 Channel 215 generally air the same programming, so we'll talk about both. 90.7 Channel 214 broadcasting in high definition is WRTE Chicago. 90.9 Channel 215, also broadcasting in high definition, is WDCB Glen Ellen, Illinois. There are no brands for either station, and both feature jazz music on their FM analog signal and on their HD1 subchannel. WRTE is affiliated with NPR, Public Radio Exchange, and the United Stations Radio Networks. And WDCB is affiliated with NPR and Public Radio Exchange. WRTE signed on the air as WCYC on 88.7 FM in 1970. The station would become WRTE in 1997, and the station moved to 90.5 in 1988, and then most recently to 90.7 in 2013. WDCB signed on the air on July 5th, 1977. WRTE has a Class D license with the FCC, broadcasting at just 6 watts. WDCB is a Class A station, broadcasting at 5,000 watts. WRTE's studios are located on Navy Pier at 8 Chicago. Their transmitter is at the University of Illinois, Chicago, Department of Black Studies at 601 South Morgan Street in Chicago. WDCB's studios are at 425 Falwell Boulevard in Glen Ellen, Illinois. And their transmitter is at Lakeside at Wheaton Apartments at 1750 22nd Street in Wheaton, Illinois. WRTE is owned by Chicago Public Media, and WDCB is owned by College of DuPage District 502, and both stations simulcast each other. 91.3 Channel 217 is WTZY, Wonder Lake, Illinois, part of the Calvary Radio Network, featuring Christian talk and contemporary Christian music. First sign-on of the station is unknown. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 4,000 watts. Programming originates in the studios of Calvary Radio Network in Valparaiso, Indiana. And the station's transmitter is in Hebron, Illinois, off of Price Road. WTZY is owned by Calvary Radio Network Incorporated, and their programming is relayed on translator stations W240BJ 95.9 FM, Crown Point, Indiana, and W264BF 100.7 FM, Chicago. Okay, now we've got 4 stations to talk about next up, as we're nearing the end of the non-commercial band. You've got WBEZ Chicago broadcasting in high definition on 91.5 Channel 218. WBEQ Morris, Illinois, broadcasting in high definition on 90.7 Channel 214. WBEK Kankakee, Illinois, on 91.1 Channel 216. And WBEW Chesterton, Indiana, broadcasting in high definition on 89.5 Channel 209. All 4 stations are known as WBEZ 91.5, Chicago's NPR news station. The FM analog signal and HD1 subchannels on WBEZ, WBEQ, and WBEW is News Talk. The HD2 subchannels on WBEZ, WBEQ, and WBEW is Vocalo, which is Urban Alternative, and that is heard primarily on WBEW. They are affiliated with NPR, American Public Media, Public Radio Exchange, and the BBC World Service. WBEZ signed on the air on April 7, 1943, and became WBEZ FM in 1983, suffix in 1988. First sign-on for WBEQ is unknown. WBEK signed on as WTKC in 1990 and became WKCC in 2003 and WBEK in 2016. And WBEW signed on as WAJW in 2001 and became WBEW the very next year. All right, WBEZ has a Class B license with the FCC. WBEQ and WBEK both have Class A licenses, and WBEW has a Class B1 license. WBEZ operates at 5,700 watts. WBEQ at 1,470 watts. WBEK at 2,600 watts. And WBEW at 4,000 watts. Programming for all four stations originate from the studios of WBEZ on Navy Pier at 848 East Grand Avenue in Chicago. The WBEZ transmitter is located at 875 North Michigan Avenue in Chicago, formerly known as the John Hancock Building. WBEQ's transmitter is at 95 North Dwight Road in Morris. WBEK's transmitter is at 292 North Convent Street in Borbanus. And WBEW's transmitter is at 1372 North Tremont Road in Porter, Indiana. All four stations are owned by Chicago Public Media. Translator station W216CL 91 from Chicago relays WBEZ-HD2. And transmitter station W219CD 91.7 FM Elgin relays WBEZ FM and WBEZ HD1. The final station on the non-commercial band is 91.9 Channel 220, which is WJCH Joliet. Family radio featuring a religious format. First sign-on of the station is unknown. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 50,000 watts. Programming originates from Family Radio's headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, with network operations out of Alameda, California. The station's transmitter is off of Ridge Road and Hiawatha Pioneer Trail, or US 6, in Minooka, Illinois. WJCH is owned by Family Stations Incorporated, and programming is relayed on translator stations W23380 94.5 FM Rockford, Illinois, and W295 AF 106.9 FM LaPorte, Indiana. And that is a look at the non-commercial band for the Chicago FM radio stations reissue. Part 2 will be coming tomorrow, as we'll jump to the low side commercial band and look at stations from 92 to 100. That'll drop tomorrow, so please join me for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and happy listening. Peace out.